Oh, hey guys. Not really my usual kind of video I'm doing, but I just want to talk because I was out about wearing this, and then earlier today I found this. I'm not exactly sure what when the hell is that supposed to be? Oh my God! No! Get off! No! So Valve merchandise.
If there's two things you gotta know about me, here's the two. One, I've been told I look like Scout. Two, I collect a lot of action figures. Which is no secret at all if you're a regular on my TikTok or sometimes on my YouTube when I post shorts about it. But today's video is something special. Because not only do I get to talk about action figures, but Valve action figures. If you are unaware, Valve did a collaboration with the company NECA, the National Entertainment Collectibles Association, I think. I hope I got that right. They did a line of figures lasting from 2012 to 2018, to when they officially lost the license, and they did 4 major Valve franchises: Half-Life, Team Fortress, Portal, and Left 4 Dead. All in all, the collaboration has left 20 unique figures throughout the line. Although, technically, most of those can be counted out because most of them were repaints of the TF2 line, but nonetheless. Today, I'm going to be going over some of those figures that I have in my collection.
But before we go on, I do need to say just a couple more things. One, although I'm talking about the figures, NECA has done a lot with the Valve franchise, not just figures. But for today's episode, I'm only taking into consideration the ultimate NECA figures. So this won't include any keychains or promotional items or anything like that. Also, I don't have any of the Portal figures because I'm not that big of a Portal fan, so I haven't really bought the figures yet. But I do have a complete line of the TF2 figures, not with all the repaints though. I do have the one Half-Life figure that they did, and I do have the 2 Left 4 Dead figures that they did. So, although I will mention the Portal figures, I do not have them in the collection, so that sucks. Yeah, that's really all the ground rule I have to lay. So first, let's start off with the 2012 set.
Off the bat, we've got a ton of really good figures to start with.
But of course, I had to start it with my man, Gordon Freeman. Getting everything else out of the way, Gordon has a really nice look to him. The face is a little inaccurate to the game, but at the same time, Gordon does have a bit of a more cartoonish face in the game, so I guess the more realistic look here is a bit more appreciated. Accessory-wise, the figure comes with a head crab, a gravity gun, a bug bomb, an additional set of hands for the gravity gun, and of course, his trusty crowbar. The only real complaint I do have about him is that these hands are impossible to swap, because you're supposed to be able to swap them to be able to have him hold his gravity gun. But the hands are so hard to pop off here that it's not even really worth it. Even then, with the way how stiff his arms are, it's not really possible to get him in a pose where he's holding it with both hands. You can see here. But, I mean, other than that, he's still an awesome figure. Yes! Continuing on, we have our Left 4 Dead figures. They only ever made 2, being the Smoker and the Boomer. So, let's start off by talking about the Smoker. So we're starting off with the Smoker because I have less favorable things to say about him. For one, his articulation is not very good. I mean, for the Smoker, you don't really need dynamic poses for him, but this arm will barely budge to move. His head does not move at all. I've tried, he just doesn't move. The tongues are technically an accessory, but they just kind of stick out of his head. I cannot get these things out, by the way, so these are just gonna have to be stuck like this. This arm moves fine enough, but the legs are my biggest problem because they are incredibly loose. You can see here how bad the legs are on mine. I'm not sure if all the figures are like this. It's probably just due to his age and how he was like displayed and stuff, so that may be the reason, but that's kind of why when I pose him up, I have to have in a more dynamic stance here, because if he's just on his regular stance, it's kind of like wobbly. He is very tall though. You can see like when he's standing up compared to the Boomer and stuff, he is very tall. He towers over the rest of my NECA figures too, which I'm not going to compare all of them, but if you want to check it out on my TikTok, I've done a review and I've done scaling wise. Overall though, this is an alright figure. Not if you like the Smoker and just Left 4 Dead in general and you don't really care about articulation, go ahead and pick him up, but for me, I prefer a little more articulation in my figures, so this one's just kind of a meh. For our next figure, we have the Boomer. This one is really neat. I really do like the Boomer figure here. He only comes with one accessory, and that is this blown up piece here, because this is actually a 2-in-1 figure, because you can have the Boomer here as he is, or he can be blown up, which I think looks really cool. Like, he looks really, really good like this. His legs are a little hard to maneuver around, and it's kind of hard to get him in like a sitting pose. Like, if you did have him blown up, it's kind of hard to have him like sit down for it. But yeah, this figure is really cool. The only real complaint I do have though is that it is kind of hard to take this piece off, which I'm not going to attempt to do on camera. I also do really like on the Boomer himself, if you notice, you can actually move his mouthpiece to where you can have his mouth closed or you can have it open. I like it having it open because it just kind of looks awkward with that big gap there, but be cautious of this because I've seen figures where this piece has broken off, so be extremely careful when, you know, displaying him. Overall though, I like the Boomer, I like the Smoker, but these are just two figures that if you like Left 4 Dead, get them, but if you just like action figures in general, these probably aren't for you. After 2012, NECA wouldn't do any other releases for Valve's other games, except of course, for the one that we've all been waiting for, the Team Fortress 2 line. So let's get it.
Portal.
What?
The Portal 2 figures. You forgot the Portal 2 figures, Scout.
Ah, that's right, I do have to talk about Portal. Okay, so without further ado, here is the official Portal 2 review. I still don't have them.
Yeah!
Okay, with that segment out of the way, we can finally move on to the first batch of Team Fortress 2 figures. Okay, before we start, I don't have the red version of the complete team. Some of them are blue. I know the blue versions came out later than the red team did, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to use these two for my representation of Demo and Pyro, the first two that were released. So first, let's start off with the Demo Man. So first, let's show off his portrait card here. I won't explain this for all of them, but every card comes with a portrait card, all of which have a code on the back, which would get you an in-game item for that class. So Demo Man came with a hat, and it depends on red or blue which hat you get, which is pretty neat. They all come in a genuine quantity too, which means that shows that you get them from the actual figure. So anyways, so let's take a look at Demo. He does look really nice. I really like how he's one of the only figures to get toe joints, which is pretty neat. It's odd that all of the characters don't have toe joints, honestly, but on it, when we get to showing them off, it'll be weird, like how their articulation works. He stands pretty good, especially, you know, having him with a stand, which I highly recommend to anybody. If you plan on getting any of these figures, please do yourself a favor and get these stands. They are pretty cheap. You can get them in like a pack of 10 for 15 bucks, I think. Really nice stuff. But anyways, let's show off his accessories. Demo includes both of his launchers, his sticky and his grenade launcher, and a left hand made to hold both the weapons. And of course, he also does have his bottle hand. This Demo figure is really cool, although I do have one thing to say about it. I've seen this on a lot of demos, but on mine you can see that... Come on, focus. Focus. There we go. His hand is turning blue. I guess it's something with the paint, but I've seen on a lot of Demo Man figures, other than just mine, but a lot of the hands have been turning blue because I guess that's the color of the plastic, and the paint just hasn't really been sticking well to it. Another thing I do have is that although he does include both of his launchers, you cannot get him to hold either of them in both hands. For example, okay, so in trying to do a part where I was going to show how he looked trying to hold his launchers and stuff, his hand will not come off, the bottle hand, so yeah, I'm just gonna have to leave it. I'm not trying to break another Demo Man, so but yeah, Demo Man is pretty good. I think they did a really good start with Demo, and overall I would say he's a really, really good one. I really like him.
Yes!
Next up is probably the most requested character that I've had when doing my TikTok series, the Pyro. So let's look at his portrait card. Another really good one. I really like this one. So, looking at Pyro, he does have probably the biggest issue I have with any of these figures, and it's his arm articulation, because you can clearly see here, there's a divide between his arm and his glove, but there is a joint that you can probably see, but you cannot get him to bend his arms. These arms are just a stiff mass. They will not move. So it especially sucks when you try to get him to hold his flamethrower, but I think he looks fine holding the axe. He also does have a bit of an ankle problem where his ankles like immediately want to cave in. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's just show his accessories. So Pyro does come with the flamethrower and the fire axe. Okay, so here's the best I could get of Pyro holding his flamethrower. As you can see, he's not really holding it exactly how he should in game, but I still think it looks fine. His fire axe also looks really nice. This is a really nice looking fire axe. At first I was kind of like, isn't this supposed to be blue? But I guess I never realized in TF2 there is no class distinction in the fire axe, so silly me. But yeah, Pyro is another really, really good one. Although the arm articulation does kind of suck and the ankles are a little wonky to mess with, I do still really like Pyro. And he does still display nice. So overall, he is a really good figure.
Yes!
In 2014, Valve released Series 2 of the TF2 figures with Heavy and Soldier. First, let's start off with Heavy this time. And here's the Heavy. There's his portrait card. And let's look at the figure. Heavy is a freaking massive figure. As you can see here, his gun looks beautiful. I love the minigun. Unfortunately, though, barrel doesn't move. So, that sucks. But, yeah, I really like this Heavy. And I think the people making him did too, because it feels like this series in particular was probably the most well-loved series. You can even see Heavy here is the only one to have painted eyes. As you can see here, his eyes are painted blue. Everybody else just has standard black eyes, which I think that's really cool. Unfair to the rest of them, but I mean, hey, what are you gonna do? Heavy comes with Sasha, his shotgun, and a pair of hands to hold the shotgun. And here is the blue version of Heavy holding his shotgun. Looks good. Overall, Heavy is probably the best TF2 figure. Is he my favorite? No, but his design, his detail, and just him in general is really good. Like, he was the most thought out, probably. So yeah, if you could only get one, I would recommend Heavy. Heavy's a really good one.
Yes!
Next up, we've got the Soldier, also known as Jane Doe, also known as the Rocket Launcher Shotgun Guy. So first, let's take a look at the card. Again, another really nice portrait cards. I'm not sure who the artist for the cards were. If I can find them, I'll put their name down. But they did some really nice art for all the portrait cards. Okay, so you've got the Soldier here. Another one of the figures that rarely is able to hold his weapon in both hands. And man, what a good looking figure this one is. I really, really like the Soldier. He honestly might be my favorite, but I'm not sure. He is the last figure of the wave to include toe joints. So Demo, Soldier, and Pyro are the only ones to have toe joints. I think I forgot to mention that with Pyro. But yeah, really good. He's got some good articulation here in his legs, really nice arm articulation, which I think all of the figures would have done really nice on if they had articulation like this. Even, fun little detail, if you look up his helmet, his eyes are actually painted underneath. Something they didn't have to do, but that's still really cool. So again, let's take a look at the accessories. His accessories include the rocket launcher, the shovel, a hand to hold the shovel, and a pair of fists. And here is the blue soldier holding the shovel. Really nice. But that is the soldier. Overall, another really, really good figure. I am kind of perplexed, though, about why he comes with a pair of fists, because he's never really seen sporting fists, and the one class that does have fists as a weapon doesn't get that. So, kind of confusing, but I mean, it's whatever. Overall, though, really good figure. Again, another really, really good one to recommend.
Yes!
And now we move on to where I think the line started to go downhill a little bit. This is Series 3, which included Engineer and the Spy. Let's get the better one out of the way and start with Engineer. Just to get the first thing out of the way, here's the portrait card. Again, another really good card. And this is not a mistake, by the way. The toolbox for red and blue is red. For some reason, they just never did a blue one. Also, the handle is broken, but you can actually get Engineer to hold the handle if you did have one. As for the rest of his accessories, Engineer comes with his toolbox, his wrench, and his pistol. Here is Engineer. He does look pretty good. His articulation's pretty nice. I really like his glove articulation, because instead of how Pyro's is, it's on a ball joint, which is a lot nicer and a lot better to move than what... There goes the stand. Anyways, his articulation's really good, and I really like how he is built. He's got double jointed knees, which is really nice. I don't know why the rest of the figures didn't have these, but again, good. He doesn't include much, as you saw with his accessories. He does have this really nice little pocket that he has in the game that you can snuggle his pistol into. I know that's not where it sits in the game, but it's nice to have. His wrench is also really nice. I think the only problem with the accessories I do have is the toolbox being red instead of blue. I mean, I guess you could paint it, but I mean, why would you have to paint it? I also do have a problem with his face, because while the face does look pretty good, his beard is a lot darker than I think it should be. Like, because in the game it's just more of a light stubble. This looks like a light beard. So, yeah. Overall, though, Engineer is pretty good, I will say. He has his problems, but I feel like he's still pretty good. It's the next one that's not too good.
Yes!
Next up is probably my least favorite, probably, because we still haven't reviewed another pretty bad one, but we've got the Spy. Well, at least for the good, he's got a really nice portrait card. Now let's get into the actual figure himself. So, Spy looks... Look how good he looks like this, right? Really nice body. And then you look at the face. Oh, that's a rough looking face. My figure, his skin almost looks like pink. I don't know if you can really see it on the camera like I can, but his skin's like pink. His eyes are really rough, and his facial hair is, again, way too dark for what it should be. The gun does look good, though, as do the rest of his accessories, which, let's get into that. His accessories include the sapper, a hand to hold the sapper, the butterfly knife, and the revolver. But oh boy, is Spy really, really rough. And it's unfortunate too, because I really like Spy, but this figure just does not do him justice. First of all, he can't hold his knife in the right arm, which is how he's portrayed doing it in game. You could try to put it in his right arm, but you know what's going to happen? It's going to fall right out. As well as the sapper, which in game he holds with both hands, but he can get him to do that. Not really sure if that's practical, but you could do it. There we go. This figure, though, is just not for me. I'm sure the spy mains out there is going to love his red and or blue spy, which blue spy actually doesn't look too bad paint-wise on his face, but the face still looks pretty bad. But overall, though, this is probably the first figure, but not the last, that I will say probably deserves a pass.
No!
Finally, in 2018, they have concluded their line with the last 3 remaining mercs on the red team: Scout, Medic, and Sniper. And man, what a disappointment of a line this was. Starting off, we have the Sniper. Here is his portrait card. And the figure itself. He comes with nothing but his sniper rifle, so I probably won't do a accessories bit on that. Mine is unfortunately broke. You can see at the top. If it'll focus right. Come on. There it goes. The scope has a crack in it, and the flap has popped out. I do still have the flap itself. I just haven't been able to attach it back on. And something very crucial is missing from Sniper. I'm not sure if you've picked up on it yet. It's his glasses. Good God, he looks weird without his glasses. He needs them desperately. Because without them, he just looks dead inside and just not right, really. I don't know what it is. There's also a bit of a painting error on the figure. I don't know if you've picked up on that. The glove is black when it should be dark brown, which isn't too bad because I guess that is kind of a similar color. And the undershirt right here is also black when it should be white, a bit more noticeable. But overall, Sniper is just kind of a he's not horrible, but there's certain things about him I don't like, I don't really care for. If anything, I think the thing that probably would have helped the most is that if he came with more accessories. Because I get it, he is the sniper, but he does have other guns other than a sniper rifle. Even giving him his machete would have been nice, but overall, though, this one's just kind of good, but not great. Moving on to objectively the best figure in the whole line, we have the Scout. Look at that handsome baseball card there. That is nice. That is really nice. Alright, so get a look at this handsome fella. Looks just like me. Although it does kind of suck that he can't get his arms to move very good because he can't hold his gun. I mean, he can kind of hold his gun. Not really, though. He includes the scattergun, the pistol, and the bat. Here's how he looks holding the bat. Unfortunately, though, he kind of holds the bat a little weird. You can see he's kind of holding it from, like, the top of the handle. Come on, focus, damn it. There we go. You can try to lower it down to where it's about level, but it only really looks natural if his hands are down. It kind of sucks, you know. Be nice if he had an extra pair of hands, but none of these figures came with extra hands. Scout would have benefited much from that, but whatever. P.S. Don't even try to get him to fit this thing in his hands. This will not go at all. You can get the scattergun and fine, you can get the bat and fine. The gun will not go in at all. I don't know why the pistol won't go in. Well, actually, you do know why, because his hands are freaking, like, solid pieces. Can't even get those things in there. Overall, though, the Scout is pretty good. I really do like this one. I wonder why. Unfortunately, though, it's in a wave with a meh figure and a pretty bad figure, so it kind of shines out. But nonetheless, good figure, good figure.
Yes!
Alright, we finally move on to the last figure of the collection. And man, what a disappointment this one is. So here's his portrait card. Again, another really good card. But other than the card, there's not a whole lot good to say with this figure. Okay, let's move on to the figure itself. Again, body looks pretty good until you get to his head. His head is just messed up. They made it so small. And not even to mention, look at that face. Look at his eyes behind those glasses. Those are some rough looking eyes. His accessories include the syringe gun, the bone saw, and the Medipack, which connects the Medigun. Unfortunately, though, you can't take the Medigun off, so it's just kind of stuck on him the whole time. And he'll just gonna be kept in this pose because I can't get the Medigun out of his hands. So yeah, they're just gonna have to be stuck like that. The head is just what really ruins it for me. I can't tell if this one or Spy is my least favorite because they're both equally pretty bad. Especially in the face. I don't know what the problem is. They're doing pretty good with the rest of the faces. I just don't know what's going on with Medic. And Spy. But, okay, nonetheless. He just looks pretty butt. I don't really care for it. The accessories, again, do look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with these. These will for sure not fit in his hands. This is just way too thick. I've gotten the bone saw to fit. The bone saw fits pretty good. Other than that, though, Medic is just pretty bad. Unfortunately, another one that I would pass on.
No!
And that is where our journey with NECA officially ends. Because after the last wave, the blue tea was never finished, and they never did another line of Valve merchandise since then. It's been a good few years since NECA has had any action figures like that. Will we ever see more? You never know. I hope so, and I hope we get a good company to do it too. Not saying that NECA's a bad company, but this line was just really inconsistent. We had a great start with the first two waves, and then from there it just got progressively worse. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with the collection that I've built. Eventually, I will be getting the Portal figures, and they may get their own separate reviews once I actually get them in hands. But yeah, as the time I'm recording this, it is December the 22nd. And as you know, Christmas is coming up in a few days, so I wanted to get this out before Christmas. Consider it a Christmas special, I guess. But I just wanted to say before I signed off here that even though I wasn't very consistent with my posting here on YouTube, I really appreciate all of you guys sticking around. We're building up a community here, and I'm really happy about that. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for everything. For more consistent content, I suggest you go check out my TikTok. I also have an Instagram I don't really post on. It's the same handles on YouTube, so you can find it pretty easily. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So, Scout out. Oh god, another one! No! 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 No!